Hello everyone, I'm Ken Facey.
And I'm Brandon Peters.
And we are the Walt Disney World Ambassadors.
And today we're here to tell you a little bit more about Disney legend Floyd Norman, one of the first African-American animators for Walt Disney Productions, now known as Walt Disney Animation Studios. Floyd is an animator, a writer, a comic book artist who joined the studio back in 1956 and is perhaps best known for his work on Sleeping Beauty, The Sword in the Stone, and The Jungle Book.
Now, Floyd was born on June 22nd, 1935. In the very cultured city of Santa Barbara, California. Floyd recalls if you wanted to see music, art, theater, or dance, Santa Barbara was the place to be. Now, Floyd fell in love with art from a very early age. He remembers his mother taking him to see his very first movie, Walt Disney Presents Dumbo. When he came home, he began to draw on the baseboards, the walls of his house, and his grandmother saw that he had potential and believed in him so much, she took him to the downtown museum to sign him up for art classes. Now, Floyd loved to watch cartoons. He even loved to draw cartoons. And when he was in high school, he was even caught creating a cartoon about his high school science teacher. His science teacher took that cartoon and then gave it to a creator of a famous 1950s cartoon. And that creator called Floyd up and offered him a job as an assistant artist. Now on the weekend, Floyd and his family would drive to Los Angeles and they would see the Walt Disney Studios. Floyd would always look out at the window and say, "That's where I want to work one day." And when he shared this dream with his family, his friends, they all told him that the Disney company doesn't hire African Americans. Well, Floyd didn't believe that. He applied and a few months later he was hired.
Now, after years of working at the studio as an in-betweener and an animator, Floyd recalls one Friday afternoon where his boss, Andy Eggman, called him into the office and said, "Pack up your office, you're going upstairs to C Wing." Now, this came as a complete surprise to Floyd. I mean, he's like, what am I going to be doing in C Wing? And Andy told him, "You're going to be working on the story for Jungle Book." Now, I mean, truly, Floyd had never applied for the story department. He wasn't even sure he'd be able to do the job, and he began racking himself, trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to be working in the story department? Why is this happening so suddenly? And then he remembered, for years, he's been drawing cartoons about fellow friends, colleagues, animators, even the 9 Old Men. They're some of the animators who used to work with Walt back at the beginning of the studio, and those were all over the studio, these cartoons. And he realized Walt oftentimes would walk the studio at night looking at the work that his animators were doing, and he realized Walt probably saw these cartoons and decided to move him himself up to story. And the rest was history. Now, in 1966, after Walt Disney passed away, Floyd left the studio, but shortly came back to work on such classics as Robin Hood, the Mickey Mouse comic strip, even Toy Story 2 and Monsters, Inc. for Pixar, and then Mulan and The Hunchback of Notre Dame for Walt Disney Animation Studios. And in 2007, Floyd was recognized as a Disney legend for his significant contribution to the Walt Disney Company.
Now, to experience some of Floyd's most recent work, we encourage you to check out A Kiss Goodnight that was written by Richard M. Sherman and illustrated by Floyd. This is a great way to learn about Walt Disney from the two men that knew him well.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.